What is up, Montana sports fans? You've just stepped into Wide Left Sports, where the stories are real, the passion is loud, and the athletes come first. This isn't just another sports show. This is Montana. Small towns, big dreams, long nights, early mornings, and people who flat out love the game. From Friday night lights to summer ball under the sun, from gym floors to turf fields. If it matters here, we're talking about it. Today's episode is another chance to give Montana athletes the mic and let them tell their story the right way. So settle in, turn it up, and get ready, because this is Wide Left Sports. But first, here's a word from our sponsors. Wide Left Sports is proudly sponsored by TDS Fiber, bringing fast, reliable internet to Billings and beyond. Whether you're streaming the big game, uploading content, or just trying to keep the whole house connected, TDS Fiber delivers the speed you need without the lag. Check availability in your neighborhood and make the switch today. TDS Fiber, internet built for real life. Wide Left Sports is proud to partner with Top Sandwich Company. Seriously, if you have not had Tops yet, you're missing out. Great sandwiches, awesome people, and one of the best spots to grab lunch in Billings. You can check them out at 4007 Avenue B, Unit 1, or 2206 Grant Road. Next time you're hungry, stop by Top Sandwich Company and tell them you heard about them on Wide Left Sports. Wide Left Sports is proud to partner with the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. Join them June 26th and 27th in Billings for a weekend celebrating Montana football history and the legends who helped build it. Friday, June 26th, kicks off with the golf tournament at Pryor Creek. Check-in starts at 8 a.m. with a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Then on Saturday, June 27th, head to the Billings Hotel and Convention Center for the inductee banquet. Doors open at 5 p.m. with the banquet starting at 6. Enjoy dinner, football highlights, incredible stories from past and present inductees, plus a live auction featuring autographed footballs. For more information, contact Lynn Greenberg at 406-281-2851 and come be a part of an awesome weekend celebrating Montana football. Hello, welcome to Wide Left Sports. Today I am joined by former Iowa State football player and founder of Game Plan Money, Jim Morse. Jim, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Mitch. How are you today?
I am doing really good, really good. Actually, I know you don't know this, but this is my first podcast back in about a month. I broke my femur, and so this is my first podcast back.
Well, welcome back. Goodness.
Thank you. So, my first question for you is, we're going to go into the player side of you for a little bit. What kind of gave you your love for football?
Something that just kind of came naturally to me when I was a kid. I did have a role model, my cousin, growing up. He was like 5 years older than me and was a all-state wrestler, all-state football player, all-state baseball player. So watching him and seeing him do well really kind of made me want to follow in his footsteps. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And so then when did you know that you were good enough to go play collegiately for football, and what ultimately made you decide to become a Cyclone?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a funny story. I wasn't getting recruited heavily out of high school. I was 180 pounds, but I was pretty tall. And I had a couple of smaller schools showing interest in me, which, going to college and getting some sort of scholarship or something to support the cost of college then for me was very important. And in the midst of that, the Air Force Academy came along and actually asked me to come out and be a part of their school. So I went there for a year to the prep school at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. That went well, but I found out I have no depth perception, Mitch.
Oh, okay.
If you ever want to fly planes, you kind of need depth perception. So I said, well, maybe the Air Force and football here is not for me. But while I was there, I'd put on like 20 pounds of muscle, and improved my speed and everything, and that really like helped me get recruited by Iowa State. I started shopping film around and ended up landing back home at Iowa State.
That's so awesome. So you played linebacker at Iowa State, which is a very important position. And knowing that you weren't the biggest guy coming out of high school and, your first couple of years there, how did you transition and grow into that position to where you were able to play it at such a high level there at Iowa State?
Yeah, that was interesting. I was a small linebacker, so I played a lot of outside linebacker for Iowa State. But they did back then. Linebackers everybody was huge. You were supposed to be big. So I packed on more weight. We were, I'd eat a whole pizza before I'd go to bed and a milkshake, trying to put on weight. Now I wish I could still do that, Mitch. I wish I could still do that. But yeah, you had to be big, fast, and strong. And Iowa State helped kind of push you on that and help me become a more of the prototypical linebacker along the way. And
that's so awesome. So what are some of your favorite memories of your time at Iowa State and getting to play there?
Yeah, probably one of my most favorite. We had, interstate rivalries, and I know you have those in Montana. I've been to Bozeman a few times, and I know the Montana State rivalry is a fierce one.
Oh yeah, it's a big one.
here in Iowa State is a big one too. And when I was first at Iowa State, we had lost 14 in a row to the Hawkeyes, and we went over to Kinnick, my red shirt, my second season at Iowa State, and we beat them at their place. And it was like one of the most favorite memories that I have at Iowa State. The second favorite would be I got to guard Ricky Williams on a couple wheel routes. Won the Heisman Trophy that year, and so it was kind of neat to look back and say, hey, I covered Ricky Williams.
Wow. Okay, so a couple follow-ups with that. Obviously they're your rivals, but Iowa has a really cool tradition there with the Children's Hospital being right by the field. How cool is that to witness, on the sideline there, getting to see that? And
so that's come about since I played. So I played in the late 90s. I'm not exactly sure when that started, but seeing it every time I watch the Iowa State game, or anytime I'm watching the Hawks and watching it around here, like it's a special moment. Like I'm sure you've seen it on TV too, but you can just feel it right from coming right through your screen. It's a pretty cool thing to see. So while they're my enemies, they do some great stuff over there, and that's one of the best
for sure. And then you mentioned Ricky Williams, who when I was growing up was one of my favorite players, just because he was lightning quick and just amazing. But did playing guys like him, that they were going to be great in the pros?
Him, yes. Like he had a record night against us that night. Like I think he broke some record. We were down at Texas under the lights, and while that was pretty cool, guarding and covering Ricky Williams and tackling Ricky Williams, it was really a beatdown of a night overall. Like not a game I like to remember. But you saw how special he was, and you knew he was going to go on and do bigger and better things in the NFL.
For sure, for sure. So I know that the world and college sports has completely changed, even in the last 5 years, let alone since the early 2000s and late 90s. But what advice do you have for a high school athlete now to get to the level of, the Big 12 with Iowa State and all of those Big 12 schools that are doing really well now?
Yeah, that I think that's a magic question that everybody would like to know. I think a lot of it comes down to keep working, get yourself as involved in football as possible. I do have a son that plays D2 football for the University of Sioux Falls in South Dakota right now, and when he was going through the the process of trying to get to college and playing football, we went on road trips to camps. He played summer 7-on-7 league stuff with some of the better players in the state, which was kind of cool and good for him to go do. Get in the weight room, take care of your body nutritionally, like all those things are. You have to do all of those things now to get above and to get ahead. And then I think the other thing, my son's a prime example. If you don't go D1, and you love football, D2 football, D3 football, NAIA football, it's all good. And I've seen D2 players, one from Sioux Falls just this last year. He been there a couple of years, and he's going to Iowa State for his last season. So you can still make it D1 even after you go D2 as well, if that's what you choose. But if it's your dream, keep pushing it and find a way. I think for me, back when I was playing, I went to the Air Force Academy, and that's how I found a way. So I think anybody, if you're committed and you want to do it, you can go do it. You just have to put the effort in and find a way.
That's awesome. So before we transition to game plan money, which I think is really cool what you have going on there, I just have one final question, and it actually is with your son, since you mentioned him. How cool is it that you have your son that has kind of followed in your footsteps, loves football, and is now being able to live out his dream and play collegiately?
It's it's pretty special. I know he's got 2 seasons left, and I said from the beginning of him doing this, we're going to go to every single game, and we're fortunate enough to be able to do that. So I've made some serious road trips, almost to Montana. I was up Minot State, which is up way far north and west in North Dakota. That's probably the furthest that we've had to go, but we went to every single game, and watching him play and fly around and being successful on and off the field has been really cool to see. It's going to be really hard when he's done.
For sure. Before we got on here, you kind of told me the story of how you started Game Plan Money and the whole story behind that. So for the viewers or listeners, excuse me, did not get to hear the explanation, why don't you kind of go into what drove you to start it and what it's all about and all of that?
Yeah. So Game Plan Money all kind of started from, I had some financial woes coming out of college. It started in college. I think this can happen to very many people, but credit cards become readily available. And for me, I didn't have a ton of money in college, and seeing other people be able to go do this or do that, the credit card was my answer to be able to keep up with everybody else and what they were doing. And I really wasn't keeping up. The credit card was was paying that. But when those credit card bills come due and you can't pay them, then you start trying to find a way, and you're almost like digging your hole deeper. Well, that perpetuated out into like even my career. Like you found out, hey, you can have a credit card for this, and even though you're making more money, you can start to have I need this, I need that. I'm making a living now, so I need to go have all the stuff that everybody else does. And it just kept compounding to the point of, when we were my wife and I, when we were in our mid 30s, we had accumulated like $50,000 of consumer debt, around that much. And we had an automobile breakdown on the interstate, and I could not pay. I didn't have any money to fix it. At that point, I said, I'm done doing this. Like, I'm never going to do this again. And we, in a year and a half after that, we completely got out of debt. We had savings for the first time, so that we would never have that happen again. And now we have we've paid off our house. Like, we're completely debt free, Mitch, and I'll tell you, it's one of the better feelings when you can climb yourself out of that hole. Just like in sports, when you're down 50-0 and you can come back and win the game.
Right.
That's what it felt like you overcame a big hurdle. So that has had obviously a lasting impact on my life. And in the beginning of 2025, I was looking for ways to help other people, and I was like, how can I be of service to others? And one of the things that I thought of was doing financial coaching. So in early 2025, I started coaching people in finances. So a lot of people out there in similar shoes, or even worse shoes than I was in, with debt. So helping them kind of climb out of that. But then also there's some people that are just short on retirement savings. So I'm helping some folks with that too. So that got me going. And in the late part of 2025, late last year, I started saying, I'd really like to help athletes like I was in college not get into those situations in the first place. So if I can help people early on, they won't get into debt ideally. And with athletes now being paid in some sports, not in all, there's an opportunity for them to even get further ahead with that and not kind of squander it away. So I started coaching athletes late 2025. I'm doing a similar thing for them.
Wow. So since it's just a little bit over, I'll say just coming up on a year, since you've really started the athlete end of the business, what has the reception been like for you, from athletes and then departments as well?
Yeah, it's been super receptive from the athlete front. On the athletic departments, it's been a little bit of a climb. A lot of the athletic departments they're already providing like a class in the D1 schools, and the class is for incoming freshmen. So that's, I think in some ways they're covering the bare necessities with that. And then some of them will bring in financial advisors as well that will advise on money. I think I look at coaching and financial advisor as two distinct things. And, a financial advisor is trying to, help you invest your money and manage where your money is invested, give you advice on some of those things. Hopefully they're educating you along the way on that. And they play a really important role in getting your money into good funds or whatever. Coaching, on the other hand, is more about like habits, making sure that you're putting structure around your like day-to-day spending and all that. So that's where I come in, and each person is unique in that. Each person's financial upbringing, each person's financial situation is a little bit unique. So there's a psychology of it that we're working through. How do you respond around finances? And then there's an actual like doing part of it too, where it's like, how do you put this into practice? And I'd say, one of the biggest things with athletes is they know how to be coached. Like they've been coached, and they know how to respond to coaching around the sport that they're playing. The thing that many of them lack is being coached in money. So that's where I'm trying to come in and provide that individual kneecap to kneecap coaching, where they feel comfortable, like in those classes at the university level. Imagine asking a question that sounds silly in front of all your teammates, right? Or maybe it's like exposing something about your personal financial situation that you don't want to share, right? So that's where coaching comes into play, and the ability to guard down, have a conversation, and make some good choices.
That's awesome. And so, you sort of touched on it, but in the world of NIL, where 18 and 19-year-olds are getting fairly decent paydays, I mean, even at our Montana schools, kids are getting pretty decent paydays, especially for here in Montana. And that might be the first time they've seen that amount of money. How can you help them not blow it, for a lack of a better term?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things there. One is just helping them realize how much money it is. The average college graduate, their starting like professional salary is $65K a year right now. Some of these athletes, like the bare minimum in some football programs is $50K. Like with revenue sharing now, $50K is like the floor of what they're getting paid, and then it's up and up from there. Well, like 2% of them are going to go on to the pros. So this like 1 to 5 year time block, depending on how long you're at D1 and getting that kind of pay, transfer people coming from D2 or whatnot. That those could be the best earning years of your life. So trying to help them understand some of that, trying to help show, how others are just like typically progressing on their pay scale and where they are at in terms of the earning power that they're getting right then, and then getting them to fast forward themselves a little bit, like, hey, 3 years from now when you're not playing football, and this is a hard thing to do because I think a lot of people have a tendency to think, I could be able to make it. I might be able to make it to the next level. And I think I love that edge. Like I love that people have that kind of confidence and that they're working that way. And I don't want to take that away. But again, 98% are not. So how do we prepare for that? And how do we be mindful around that? How do we set some of this aside? And how do we, I still want people to be able to spend stuff too. So how do we look at, what portion of that for you, when I'm working with an athlete is what you want to be able to like spend and live on. I'd also try to help them understand, even this is one of the funny things when I was talking to an athletic director, I said, if you had a magic wand and could change anything about this, what would you do? And he said, I'd change it back to the way it was. And I was like, why? Tell me more. And he said, these athletes don't even realize they're getting it better than some pros have it. Like when you're in the pros, you're paying your housing.
Yeah.
They're not paying your housing. when you go to the field or wherever they have food available, you're paying for the food there too. And in college, like, your housing, if you're on full scholarship, like, your housing's being taken care of, your food is all taken care of, and you're probably getting, at Iowa State, I think I heard they're getting like Chick-fil-A coupons every week or something like that. Like, they're getting well taken care of, and that's going to go away. So helping them realize how good they have it, and that athletic director, like, that was his big thing, was they don't even realize that in some cases they have it even better than a pro starting out.
No, for sure. So I know that you are based in Iowa, but are your services something that any athlete in any part of the country can, partake in? And how do they get a hold of you if they want to have your services while they're in college?
Yeah. I do, the bulk of what I do is just like this podcast, Mitch. Like, I do a lot of it virtually, over a call. I am also working on some technology that I think can help assist when I'm not able to be there too. But that's a future podcast that we can cover some of that on, maybe. And yeah, the best. And I just met yesterday with a kid. He's a football player. He was at Nebraska, transferred to D2, and now is going back into another D1 school. And we were working through a few things on his career path. Getting a hold of me is as simple as going out to gameplanmoney.com. I'm out there. I'm also Game Plan Money on Instagram. So those are a couple ways. And I'm also on LinkedIn. One of the interesting things that came out of all this too is, while I'm trying to coach people on finances, career coaching has kind of come up a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn has been a good place to interact with some of these athletes that are getting started into their career or getting ready to start into their career, and are trying to build up their LinkedIn profile and get themselves out there and into their first job.
That's awesome. And that's how we met. You reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, I'd love to talk to you about this." And
yeah,
I appreciate you for reaching out to me, because I would have never known that this was a thing. So,
well, I appreciate you listening. So thank you, Mitch.
Of course. Is there anything else, Jim, that you want to, say to any prospective athlete or just prospective person that, I said that wrong, that may want your services?
Yeah, I think, book a huddle with me. That's what I call it on my website. So I try to keep everything sports related, and I have free 30-minute huddles. And, I love just like talking to people, and my goal in 30 minutes is to find one thing that person can take away that's going to provide value to them. A lot of times we can find more than one in that free call. And then, should you want to use my services beyond that, like, we can talk about that too. But don't be afraid of investing in a coach that's going to support you. Like, I think that's another kind of tricky thing. In sports and college, your coaches are all just like right there. They're provided for you. When you go pro, and when you get out there in the professional world, even if it's not in a professional sport, hiring a coach, whether that be a trainer at the gym or, LeBron James hiring somebody to help him on his stretching or any nutrition or any of that, like, those services help you, like, get forward and make it longer in the NBA or make it longer in your career. So don't skip some of those things. Like, find the right one. And I'm not saying it necessarily has to be me, but find coaches that are going to support you. And those can be free, they can be paid, whatever. But find coaches that are going to help stand in your corner and be a sounding board for you. Like that's probably my biggest advice coming out of this. And don't be afraid to look for those.
Awesome. Well, Jim, I want to thank you again so much for coming on, and thank you for reaching out to me, and wish you the best of luck with your game plan money and just everything that you have going on. I think it's all great.
Yeah, Mitch. Next time I'm up in Montana, I'll look you up, okay?
Yes, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Wide Left Sports. If you liked what you heard, hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and keep spreading the word, because this platform grows when Montana sports fans show up for other Montana athletes. These stories matter, the work matters, and the passion around sports in this state is something truly special. Huge thank you to our sponsors for helping us make this possible, and thank you for listening, supporting, and riding with us. We've got more conversations coming, more athletes to highlight, and more Montana stories to tell. Until next time, keep supporting local sports, keep cheering loud, and keep it right here with Wide Left Sports.